percent overall from the field, but he was also 50% from threes. He's 5 of 10.
I know you're out there. It's okay. Stand back there.
No, more than likely, you're going to get that number 1 seed. And so I want Houston to be ranked at number 1 to 8.
Welcome in to another episode of Let's Rage Coogs presented by the Saxenian Family. We are on location from the Star Pizza location located at 77 Harvard. Joining me, Rick Gardner.
How you doing? How you doing?
Review. We're doing a live show. Obviously, we're coming off the heels of number 4 ranked Houston, who fell at Adams Fieldhouse 65 to 78 to the number 8 ranked Kansas Jayhawks. And the Kansas was as good as advertised in this game at Adams Fieldhouse. And quite frankly, Jayhawks they could have they shot 59% of the field. Or it seemed like practically the entire game. I guess they did cool off. They were shooting north of 70%.
80% at one point. Oh, 75, 80%. Yeah.
But they brought their A game and especially that first half, they struggled. They didn't get their first rebound until 7 minutes into the first half.
That was the biggest surprise, the lack of rebounding for the Cougars. The offensive boards they did not have. KU dominated the glass for the whole game, really. And kudos to them. So, yeah, my audience, let's take a break and figure this out. We're doing this live on Twitch for the first time. So. That's
As we're trying to figure it live as well, we're trying to figure out the audio quality live, but like we mentioned about Kansas and how they didn't win. Under Dickinson, we mentioned Kelvin Sampson when he gets to the game. He's going to get his 20 points. He did that. He was good as an advertiser. When it comes to Dickinson, his ability to pass the ball. We might have to change my pass.
That's fine.
Is there any improvement in that aspect? Because we can hear you just bad at audio. You guys can that. But let's try to keep going. When it comes to Hunter Dickinson,
Breakfast, my mic is good. I don't even have a mic. I got my bud mic. Yeah, interesting. Oh.
Oh. What about this? Can you guys hear us? Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, how about that? Can you hear Andy?
Can you hear me as I'm talking currently? We need your live feedback. There we go. Okay. Figured it out as we go. So like we're talking about Hunter Dickinson. We're trying to figure it out as we go. So what we've been trying to repeat for the last handful of minutes, Hunter Dickinson, good as advertised, 20 points. Like Kelvin said, coming into the game, he was going to get his 20. But I think what the biggest thing that stood out to me is his calmness whenever Houston trapped them with the monster press and just really being able to kill Houston with skip passes. What did you see from Hunter Dickinson?
The issue is, though, I'll keep yours. I think I'm good, right, everybody? I think. But it's just Hunter got his. The irony is in the first half, Juwan Harris, the point guard for KU, had no assists, but KJ Adams had 4 assists. Furby had 3 assists. McCullough had 3 assists. Hunter Dickinson had 3 assists. It was just, one of those days. They were making tough shots. Furby was the man, 5 for 5 in the first half. He shows you why he was one of the top freshmen in the country. He was one of the top freshmen in the country. Salute to him. He had a great game. The KU shot well, but they still had so many turnovers. So either they made a shot or they turned it over. The Cougars couldn't get rebounds or make shots. And that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah, it's something that we talked about, and it was just a weird game when you look at the stats. Kansas ended up with 18 turnovers. Houston only had 3 turnovers, and again, they ended up losing by double digits. The Cougars did, but just in terms of the shots, some of those turnovers that does factor in when you look at the final stats. But Kansas, 45 field goals. Houston shot 69 times, so Houston had 24 more shots than Kansas, but Kansas still ended up hitting 6 more shots than the Houston Cougars. It was just stat wise, it looked so weird what type of game it looked. But that first half defense for Houston gave up 43 points to the Jayhawks. That's the most points that they've given up in the first half this season. Uh, that's really the difference in the game. Well, even Houston's offense has struggled, even in the second half when it looked like they were trying to make runs, like the most that they got until AJ Cryer got fired. It's like they were to get one, maybe they'd be able to get 2 baskets in a row, but that was it. Kansas did a good job of being able to shut the door. What you think about really that first half? That was kind of the difference when Kansas put up 43 points.
First half, LJ, nobody made shots. LJ was 1 for 7. Jamal was 1 for 7. Man was Sharp was struggling from. So that's your 3 main perimeter scorers. They didn't make shots. KU did what they did. K was rolling. So even if a rare moment Kansas did not make a shot, the Cougars could not make them pay for it with a bucket. And then KU got turnover. The Cougars could not make them pay for it with a bucket. So it came down to Houston could not make shots. KU missed a handful of times, but the Cougars could not make them pay for it.
As we're looking to see if Daon's going to join us, whenever you're ready, Daon, just give us a thumbs up so we know to bring you in. So joining us from Lawrence, Kansas, Daon Dunlap. How are you doing, sir? First of all, how was that atmosphere at Adlin Fieldhouse?
Man, the atmosphere was great. The atmosphere was really great, and it really propelled their role players to shoot well. I think that the energy from the crowd, the atmosphere, even affected Houston during timeouts. They were so loud. I'm sure it was hard for Houston during timeouts to hear Coach Sampson inside the huddle. But overall, the atmosphere was great. I think in regards to all of the what people say about it, the anticipation for it, it was definitely great. I think the role players really just made shots today. You could tell how comfortable they were at home. That really just kind of propelled them throughout this entire game.
And an example of that, Parker Brown had made 2 or 3 threes this whole season, made a 3 from top of the key. I mean, guys like that made shots, and the Cougs key players did not make shots today. So that comes down to that. And the lack of rebounding was really a big surprise. Kansas made a point. They were not going to let Houston beat them on the glass, and they dominated Houston for the entire first half. Cougs evened out in the second half, but the deficit was so big at halftime, Cougs not make a big dent.
Yeah, they was able to put a dent in it, but just being there live, you can really tell that they got the momentum for a little bit, but they can never string together those 3 or 4 stops. It'll be 1 stop, maybe 2 stops. They weren't able to string together 3 or 4 stops and get consistent offense to be able to score. I mean, LJ caught fire late, in which it was definitely needed. He needed to step up, and he definitely did that. So I want to give him his credit. But watching that game, I was literally thinking in my head, like, damn, LJ got to step up. Because Jamal's a natural passer. Over these last few games, he's been having to score out of necessity. And I mean, that's to his credit. He can do that. But today, I don't think he didn't have a good game, or he had a good game, but it was just more about McCullough. I would give him credit too. He definitely made it tough for Jamal. His length bothered Jamal. It made it tough for him when he got inside the paint to finish over his length. In the way that they loaded up Jamal to get the ball out of his hands, they really made a consistent effort to get the ball out of his hands and force other players to step up. But I think in that first half, if LJ would have came up big, the way Emmanuel was making shots, I think it would have been a closer game. He came up late, but overall, man, it was a good atmosphere. It was a good atmosphere.
And I'll say this: February 3rd, Houston, Kansas, March 9th in H-Town. I'm not a betting man, but I feel fairly confident Kansas will not shoot 70% on March 9th in Houston.
Yeah, I agree with that. And that was the difference. I mean, just like every shot they shot it felt like it was going in. So that home crowd, the home field advantage, home court advantage, I should say, definitely played a part. And they just seemed comfortable. And you could tell. I mean, that's how tough it is to come on the road. Houston would have had to came out and play a really 40 minutes complete game to beat Kansas at home. So shout out to them. But I'm definitely still confident. Whenever yelling overrated, I'm hearing other people in the crowd. They're like, man, we need to be quiet saying that because they're not overrated. And so it was mixed. Some college kids are kind of saying that, and others be like, no, they're not overrated. So it was good to kind of talk with fans inside to kind of get their feel for basketball. And they were saying they weren't expecting to beat Houston how they did and kind of control the entire game. That's what some of the people I was sitting next to were kind of telling me. But the way they shot the ball today, it was going to be hard to beat them. I mean, Perfy played well. McCullough, he played well. Just that the scheme, that the way that they were prepared. Like I was telling last week when we talked about how they were going to attack the double team, the monster. They were prepared for it. I mean, they moved the ball well, got the extra pass, knew where the opening was going to be, and they made the shots. And so, just credit to them. I think home court really, really propelled them to this victory today.
And I always laugh. Excuse me, and I always laugh when fans chant the overrated chant because when you do that, then you are taking credit away from your team.
Right.
So what is the purpose of doing that? Kansas made shots today. Kansas shot 70%. I'm sure Kansas has not shot 70% very often this season. Okay, they happened to do it today against the Houston Cougars. They won by 13. Salute to them. They still have, 3 losses in the Big 12, right? Just like Houston. So, okay, it's still a road loss for Houston. They'll be fine. They got Oklahoma State on Tuesday. Bounce back. I'm kind of curious to see what Coach Sampson's post-game remarks will be. So look forward to the audio and video sent to us momentarily. But Houston and rebounding was the biggest surprise because we've seen the Cougars miss shots before. They do that, but they were not able to rebound the misses in the first half. That was a big key.
Their defense was disruptive.
Oh,
go ahead.
No, what I was going to say, like they put up 28 points in the first half. Over the course of the entire season, they've done similar things. It's not like their offense was just that bad. The difference was, Chris, like you said, 43 points given up to Kansas. Even the second half, they held them to 35 points. They ended up winning the period 37-35. But that at the end of the day, that's not what's good enough. And we heard it from Star Pizza when they started chanting the overrated chants. And right away, we were like, you get it from a fan perspective, especially Kansas. They're used to being the top 10 year in and year out. Houston has also been the top 10 for the past few seasons. It's the first time where they've met over the course of the last few seasons. But it's going to be interesting to see how these two teams, the game goes when they meet on March 9th at the Fertitta Center. But to build on those offensive struggles for Houston, we got to start with Jamal Shead, who really struggled scoring the ball, which look back a couple days ago against Texas. It was a big reason why the Cougars were able to defeat the Longhorns in overtime. It was a night and day performance offensively from Jamal Shead. Did a good job being able to find teammates, but he himself couldn't put the ball in the basket.
Yeah, Jamal had 9 assists. A lot of those were in the second half because LG started making shots. Jamal did make shots today. And it could have been some of the length from McCullough and some of the Jayhawk players. But, Jamal makes tough shots. Today he did make tough shots. So that's part of basketball as well. LJ 9 for 20 because he warmed up in the second half. But the man was sharp. 4 for 14. Jamal 2 for 9. Malik Wilson took 3 threes, and one of them was a late in the shot clock 3 because of Kansas good defense. But you did not want Malik Wilson taking 3 threes, more 3s than 2s. Kansas defense, well started, well prepared. But again, the rebounding was huge in the first half. But Kansas, in all likelihood, I feel very confident they will not shoot 70%. Maybe against anybody else the rest of this season. But they did it today, which is one of those things that I say all about the tournament. One time. It's not a series. It's one time. If the Cougars and Kansas play in the championship game of the tournament, not the Big 12 tournament, but the tournament, Final Four, the last game of the season, Cougars shoot 70%. They win the championship. Because it's just one and done. That's what happened today. Salute to Kansas, did a good job. They won a ball game. They protected home court.
Yeah, Jamal, he was aggressive. I like his shot selection and his aggression to get inside and get to his spots. But like Chris and you guys are saying, he kind of missed shots that he can't make, and he makes tough shots. But I just got to give McCullough all credit for just watching it live and seeing his length and the way that they guarded him. I think he definitely did make it tough for Jamal, especially just inside the paint. And where he got inside from the free throw line inside, just using his length and the way they loaded up on him. They really made it tough for him. but he still impacted the game, and that's still he's not a scorer. Although he scored at a high clip, I still watching his game. He's not a I wouldn't say. I guess his first priority isn't to score. I would say that he can score. I don't want to preface by saying that. And so I don't think it disrupted Houston. I think the other players needed to step up because they were so focused on stopping him. And J1, he played really well. They couldn't really had no answer for him. KJ Adams couldn't guard him. Nobody could really guard him. And he made key shots to kind of stem down the momentum. And I was wondering, Coach Sampson, he played Malik instead of Damian a lot of minutes tonight.
Right.
And Damian's shot making, especially his jump shooting, you thought would have been able to impact the game more, especially some of those shots. But to Malik's credit, Coach Sampson credit, Malik was on the floor when Houston went on a little bit of run. I think got the lead down to 12 or 10. It was part of his defense, his effort. They were able to get deflections. They got a lot of steals tonight. I'm not sure the stats or numbers, but just watching the game, they were able to get a lot of deflections, a lot of steals, and that helped them climb back into the game. But I mean, Kansas just shot the ball too well today. I mean, it was no reason when you shoot the ball like that today.
You know, and that's it in the nutshell, because the Jayhawks had 18 turnovers.
Yep.
But they still shot 70%.
Yep.
So the Cougs did well defensively in spurts, but Kansas still made 70% of their shots. That's not going to happen maybe 99 times out of 100, but it happened today. So salute to Kansas making those shots. And it was a mixture. Some were tough shots, but they still had, I think, 10 layups and 3 dunks. So the backdoor cuts, which Deion and I talked about, is a way to beat Houston because they're so aggressive defensively. If you do move, fake one way and go backdoor, you can get some baskets like that. And without Xavier Francis and JoJo away from the bucket, because it kind of pulls them away from the rim sometimes, they were open for layups. They were not there for weak side help to contest those layup attempts. So Bill Self and his staff did a very good job of taking advantage of Houston defensively, but Kansas still made a lot of shots and had a lot of turnovers. So it was a mixed bag for Houston.
Real quickly down before you go, I'd like to remind everybody that this is Let's Rage Coogs presented by the Saxenian Family, the original Houston postgame show for each men's and football show. And like we said, the only postgame show that ever be retweeted, or I guess reposted, on X.com by head coach Kelvin Sampson. And of course, we are live. We mentioned some comments. There is some ambient noise. That is because we are live at the Star Pizza location at 77 Harvard Street. We might pan out before the show ends so we can see we are in the dining room. So that's why there's a lot of ambient noise. If you're wondering, if you're just joining us and didn't necessarily know where we're live, it is from the Star Pizza location. So big props to Mike and Jennifer Pittman for setting all this up. We've got the chance to enjoy appetizers. Chris and I each had a deep dish pizza, and we were well fed throughout the game. And we can never say thank you enough to Star Pizza. We have D Skills, aka Derek, who I got to meet in person for the first time. So thank you, Derek. Shout out live on the show for joining us here at Star Pizza. And it was just a good time being able to see the game. Obviously, even though it did not go Houston's way, it was still a great opportunity. It's a great place just to be able to sit down and enjoy the game. Star Pizza with 3 locations across the Houston area. Star Pizza is your go-to stop before or after the game. And with that being said, I want to bring up the comment from Rex32, who's had a couple, but he says he'll give UH some slack for this being their first time at Allen Fieldhouse. Once the teams get familiar with it in future seasons, it should be a less of a problem. And he talks about Damian Dunn, but we haven't talked about it. He gave props to JoJo Tugler, who had to come in and play a lot of minutes after Xavier Francis went out early in that first half, and he only played 4 minutes in the game, which that's something that played a big factor in terms of Houston's defense and specifically that first half, the struggles.
Xavier's fall, it was an ugly fall, and he hurt his lower back, so he did not play the rest of the game. But you could see more positive performances from JoJo. His future is so bright. He's improved month to month, November to December, January. Now we're in February. He's getting better offensively and defensively. I'm not worried about this team. I'm not worried about JoJo. Again, I just go back to it. Kansas shot 70% from the floor today. That is so rare, but it happened today. I doubt it happens again. I saw a comment from Mark Natrea of Moses Elementary School. I do kind of feel bad for Oak State this coming Tuesday. I told Andy before we started the show, I'll be shocked if Oklahoma State scores 70 points on Tuesday against Houston. You know, had a stat doing this broadcast on the screen about Houston was giving them 70 points in back-to-back games. Longhorns, an overtime game on Monday, but still. Oak State, if Oak State scores 70 on Tuesday, then maybe truly have some concern about the defense. That's not going to happen. Not happening. I put Dayon's money on it. That Oklahoma State is not scoring 70 on Tuesday.
Yeah, that's a good bet. I like that. I agree with you 100%, Chris. I don't think they will. But I think it's a lot to learn from this game, especially with JoJo, seeing him live for the first time. His length, his athleticism, his energy, the way he plays the game, it definitely stands out. I think he looks the part out there with his activity as well. I like what I've seen from him. The only thing watching him live, when he catches it on the roll right there in the post, especially in the mid floater, he got to shoot his floater. He's too hesitant. He's catching it immediately looking to pass. One time he shot the floater and he missed it, but so what? Catch it and be aggressive, because that was almost daring him to shoot it. Once you catch right there in that mid post area under the free throw line, shoot your floater or be aggressive, go in. But other than that, the way he rebounds and going out and tipping offensive rebounds and just his activity all the way around, I really, really like him. I think as he gets more comfortable, more confident on the offensive end and can be able to exert himself offensively, then he'll be even more. Because right now he's playing a 5 and he's really a 4, but he has the length and the ability to play 5. But you could tell the strength and the difference between him and Hunter Dickerson, the size advantage. But other than that, I mean, he did really well. He held his own, and he played well. I just think overall, I'm glad LJ came alive like he did. I was literally watching the game like he's the one that we need to step up. He was the one, and he definitely, to his credit, he stepped up. But in previous games, I couldn't help but think that's why Coach Sampson left him in the game even when he isn't making his shots. Because all it takes is one shot and he can get hot just like that. Because I remember other previous shows that people were like, oh, why Coach Sampson maybe should have sat him. But that's why, because he got the ability to go off like that. But I want him to at least be aggressive to seek his shots. Because even though he had it going, he was being hungry to score. And oftentimes, he's not even hungry, it seems, to score. And so to his credit, he got it going and he started hunting his shot. But we need a little bit more of that from the jump. That way, Jamal can be with his natural self and fill in and not have to go for 20 points, shoot 15 plus shots, and just be able to kind of control the game and be able to get those clutch buckets whenever we need them in spur moments. I think that'll be the best role with him also being number 1 option. But I think LJ, I'm glad he stepped up, but I just need more of that from him, in my opinion. I need more consistency of that. I'm not saying I have to go for 20 plus, but just the aggression of looking to score and shooting the ball.
Agreed. That's what I want from him. Just be aggressive. Look for his shot. Get in the paint. Be aggressive and get to the foul line more. But, Jamal had an off night shooting. That missed layup, transition, that kind of took something out of him. But, hey, this is one of those bad shooting nights for Jamal. Still bounce back with the assist. He'll be fine. Coogs are 6-3 in Big 12 play. They'll be fine. It's the halfway mark of Big 12 conference play. Coogs will be fine. I think Dayon, me, and Andy said that Houston will probably lose five times in conference play, if not 6. Okay, this is lost 3. They might lose 1 or 2 more times second half of the season. They'll still be fine. They're going far in the tournament. No worries today.
That missed layup by Jamal Shed that you just referenced really summed up the kind of offensive performance that first half was for the entire game. Houston was until AJ Cryer caught fire, but even Jawan Roberts, there was a couple of hook shots that just rolled in and out, and offensive rebounds, they struggled. We mentioned going back to last season, Kelvin Sampson said one of the goals that Houston has is to get the offensive rebounds on half the shot that they miss. Well, Houston missed, let's do the quick math, 69 minus 25, Chris. That is 39, 40, 34, 44. So 44 missed shots, and they only had 24 rebounds total. But offensive rebounds specifically, the loads. Wait, but do the math. 24 total rebounds, 44 missed shots. They did not get exactly. So, but obviously, big factor. Front court players very, very thin. But we mentioned Jamal Shed, 0 rebounds in this game. Eldrick Cryer only had 1 rebound himself. Emmanuel Sharp, 1. Malik Wilson, who played 12 minutes, 0 rebounds. Damian Dunn, who we need to talk about, only played 6 minutes, 0 rebounds. We know how important for Houston rebounding from the guard position is, and they just didn't do that in this game.
And that's part of it. Emmanuel Sharp had some good games on the board recently, did not today. So that's something that Kansas made a point. You little guards, y'all aren't going to get rebounds. So again, KU had a good game plan. They executed it. All those things. They still shot 70% from the floor. 70. But they also out-rebounded Houston. Your opponent shoots better than you and out-rebounds you, you're going to lose. And that's what happened.
13 offensive rebounds by Houston, by the way. So, yep, they fell 30. Well, they fell a handful of rebounds short of their goal.
Like 9, because he wants to get half of them. So, yeah.
Speaking of missed layups, one of the key missed layups in the game, when LJ Cryer had it going, I forgot the sequence before. I think he may have made a shot. Houston got a stop. I believe the lead was down to maybe 11 or 12. And he got a great look at a right-hand layup. He just missed it. And as a few sequence after that, KU scored 4 straight points, and the lead went back up to like 13 or 15 or something like that. If he makes that layup, the lead's down to 9, and Houston continue, I think it was just key moments like that. And one of the kids that made the 3 that haven't scored, as you referenced, Chris, they had 2 bench players who made points. And we talked about how they haven't had any production over the bench over the last couple of games. And so, we just really scratched this up to this was their day at home. They were well prepared and they were comfortable at home. But I feel confident, still the same confidence that I had for Houston against KU when they see them again, or if they see them in the Big 12 NCAA tournament.
Agreed. KU shot the ball well. In the losses on the road, especially at UCF, they scored 60 points at UCF. They didn't shoot well. They shot spectacular today. Give them credit for that. Flip side, the Cougars missed some shots that they usually do make. That layup by Jamal. How often does he miss a layup? That wide open layup, he was open by himself. Missed that. It's just one of those days for him. An unreal day for KU on the floor. KU won. Salute to them. Move on. Houston hosts Oklahoma State on Tuesday, 6 o'clock. Game is on ESPN2. The Cougars will win, I think, by a lot. And reminding everybody, we are here at Star Pizza, 77 Harvard, but also Star Pizza is a secondary sponsor. But also, don't forget about our primary sponsor, Saxenian Family, for their support always for Rage Coogs. And thank you, everybody, for joining us as we are on location. You can tell what Andy and I am, and see what Dayon is from his ride. So, technology. We can do these things all because of technology. So, if you want to support us, you can. Because you got a tournament coming up, as in the Big 12 tournament. So hit us up. You can touch us with those info to help you out there also. But thank you very much for watching this on-site location of Best Rage Coogs.
Hey, quick question, because I didn't see a replay, and I'm sure they showed multiple replays on the TV broadcast. How did Javier's foul look?
He lands on his back. And we thought he landed on his head and his neck. But there's a lower back injury, and no further word of how serious it is or, what the extent of it. We'll find out, hopefully. So I have no idea if he'll play Tuesday or not. It probably won't be necessary. No shade against Oklahoma State, but it probably won't be necessary for him to play Tuesday. But you never know.
Okay. Yeah, we definitely missed him. Also, credit to JoJo for staying out of foul trouble. He had to play extended minutes, and we counted on him. He was able to stay on the floor down the stretch.
Yeah, only 3 fouls having a guard, Hunter Dickinson. It ended up being good experience for him. He got thrown into the fire. He had to show out, and hopefully it's a great experience for him. He's going to be here. You would expect him to be here for a handful of more seasons in the future. So it's not going to be the last time that he has to play at Allen Fieldhouse or in that type of environment. So he's going to have some experience to be able to call back. I want to bring up this comment by Rex32. if Javier Francis is indeed injured, they are very thin in the front court. Jawan Roberts, Jojo Tugner, a lot of guards. Will Cedric Locke be thrown into the fire, and there's no other big man?
No, I doubt it. I doubt it. I don't see Big Sid getting a lot of minutes, especially early in games. He's not ready for it in terms of, and by this, I mean the sense of calling out plays, calling out high screen and rolls. The 5-man has to do a lot of talking for the guards, where to go, how to rotate, all that stuff. And he's just not ready for that yet. Now, I understand the need. You say he's a body, and you just get him in there and be physical for a minute or two. Okay, beyond that, I think you'll see more Ramon Walker at the 4 up front. Sid, he is improving, yes, but I just don't see him getting a lot of minutes these last 9 games in conference play if Xavier is out for any length of time.
A lot of minutes, no. Some minutes, yes. And I think with Oklahoma State, next is the perfect time to get him on the floor in a few minutes, whether it's 6 minutes, 8 minutes in the game, because, having J1 or JoJo play the entire game, it's going to be hard, because when you bring in Ramon to sit down and move J1 to the 5, J1 still got to rest. You're going to have to rotate J1 and JoJo's minutes. And so I think against Oklahoma State, could you, if Javier is out, could you get in? Could he get in? I think so. I think not a lot of minutes, like Chris is saying, no. But some minutes, I think, yes. I think he could. He could play 2 or 3 minutes, 6-minute stretch, and be able to learn from those minutes. Then it depends on how he plays. Maybe can he carve out 6 or 8 minutes, just depending on how long Javier is out. And so I think that's something that it can happen. I think Oklahoma State is a perfect game for him to maybe get some spot minutes, where it's 2 minutes, 4 minutes, whatever the case may be.
We'll see. I think Coach will lean on Ramon more because of the experience.
No, I agree. He's going to
no.
at the 4.
I think he might give Sid maybe 2 minutes in the first half and see what he can do. But the expectations from the fans, don't expect much from him. The defense will look different. It'll be different guys calling out the screens and the sets, because that aspect of the game, Sid is not ready for just yet. He will in time, but not this season.
Also interesting, worth noting too, another big that obviously redshirted, would not be ready, but Jacob McFarland technically as well too. Maybe Cedric Lott, if they really need to go in handful of fouls, that could be something. But no, I agree 100% with the two of you. They're gonna have to go small. It's honestly reminiscent to that 21-22 team. Similar situation. Obviously, they lost Terrence Arsenault already to season-ending injury with his Achilles. And obviously, we don't know the extent how serious the injury will be with Javier Francis. But Ramon Walker, he only played 4 minutes in this game. But he's most definitely going to be someone that's going to be thrust into that position, because, like the two of you alluded to, that experience comes into play. And at this point, he's going to be the best one that's available left, where if you had to compare between Cedric Lott and Ramon Walker. I also want to bring up this comment from Raoul HD. He says, let me acknowledge one thing. Kansas played with a giant chip on his shoulder. We were ranked higher, correct. We were betting favorites, which before the game, we were talking about it, Chris. I was personally surprised that Houston was favored, only 1.5 point favorites, but still at Allen Fieldhouse. And there was a lot of last minute buzz in favor of Houston, and Kansas played like they had a point to prove, and they came out really locked in and never looked back. Well, Houston only led for 13 seconds in this game, and the rest of it was all Jayhawks. So I agree 100% with Raoul HD's comment. The Jayhawks definitely played with something to prove.
Something to prove and want to protect home court. And I'm sure Coach Self or the coaching staff, whatever, said, hey, folks have that team favored to beat us here on our court in our house. Are we going to let that happen today? No, Coach. No, we're not. We're going to prove to them we're the best team in the Big 12. Well, they got it done. They played with that big old boulder on their shoulder today and got it done. And to add to it, they shot 70% from the floor. I'm sure Coach Self would say, I did not expect us to shoot 70% versus Houston, but we did today. We made shots and got the win.
Yeah, I mean, you said it right, Chris. I mean, I really much second everything that you just said, 100%. I mean, the way that they shot the ball, I think all of that was motivating factor. He's dead on with that comment. I think they used all of that as motivation, and their role players, I mean, really shot the ball. All of their starters were in double figures, except Harris, I think, and he had a good complimentary game. He didn't really do too much, but just kind of run their offense to get them into the sets. But other than that, I think they just shot the ball too well. I mean, it was their day. You could just tell they shot the ball too well. They were comfortable at home. I think all of that stuff played a factor. I agree with that for sure.
That comment from Dayon sums it up perfect. It was just Kansas's day. We do need to talk about Damian Dunn, who similar only played 6 minutes, shot one basket, missed it, 0 for 1. But I don't know if it's something where in a game like this, where it obviously was a big game heading into it, just look at the buzz and excitement around it. But it was really only, especially once Francis got injured, 5 players that Kelvin Sampson rode with. Those are the starters, and JoJo Tugler. Malik Wilson, I would say much more out of necessity than anything else, played 12 minutes.
By
But you
choice, I
look at
think
it,
that was
Jamal
choice because
Shed,
Damian
38
could have played those
minutes.
minutes.
LJ Cryer, 33. Jawan Roberts, 38. Emmanuel Sharp, 31. Tugler, 34. And then after all of them, Malik Wilson, 12 points. Damian Dunn, which I think we can agree, that's the most surprising. Only 6 minutes. Ramon, 4 minutes. And then obviously Francis with the injury, only 4.
Deion said it right. Trust. Coach does not trust Damian yet. Damian still has time to build that trust. And maybe we don't know this, but maybe Damian did not practice well this week. Coach Sampson has said he rewards guys who practice well. So if Damian did not practice well this week, that's on him. We don't know that, but that's one thing we can, based on what Coach has said, he gives guys who practice well minutes in games. Coach Sampson is in charge. Damian did not play well. A comment from Dean Lopez about never show up in big games, Cryer and Dunn. Baylor fans know that's not true. For LJ Cryer specifically, LJ helped them win a championship. But Damian Dunn did not play a lot of minutes. Malik Wilson, Coach Sampson's kind of going back and forth with Malik and Damian almost game to game about who he's going to give the minutes to. I trust Coach Sampson for whatever reason. If the players are not doing their part in practice, I don't want to just give the minutes. They don't deserve it. So that's on the players to earn playing time. We'll see what happens on Tuesday regarding Damian Dunn's minutes, Malik Wilson's minutes against Oklahoma State.
I agree with you, Chris. But in my opinion, I think Coach Sampson's holding them back. I agree. I trust him. I agree with everything you said. Just in my opinion, I think Coach Sampson's holding them back. He them shots that Malik shot today. Not LJ. Damian can make those shots, and you would expect for them to go in because they open shots. And so, I mean, like you said, everything you said, I agree with. Maybe he practiced well, and so no disagreements for me. But just in my opinion, I think Coach Sampson is holding him back because I think if he played more minutes, he could produce more offensively, and that's what Houston needs. They need somebody to put the ball in the bucket. Emmanuel will give him his credit. In the first half, they was attacking Furphy. It was guarding him, and he did a good job of kind of keeping Houston afloat. Second half, like the comment said, LJ just came alive too late. He got to be there from start to finish, not necessarily making shots, but being aggressive. I think Damian is someone who can help with that. In the half-court sit, when you got to execute against the defense, sometimes you need to draw up a play to get somebody who can beat their matchup, and he's a player that can beat somebody one-on-one on the matchup and put the ball in the hole, and he can catch and shoot. I mean, and so in my opinion, I think this would have been a better game from Damian to get those minutes because he could have stretched the floor. He could have made shots, and that's what Houston needed, in my opinion.
I was just going to say it's a little bit of a double-edged sword because to play under Kelvin Sampson as a player, you have to be mentally tough. And coming from Temple, obviously, we don't know the day-to-day operation or whatever, how they ran it in Temple, but Damian's touched on it himself over the course of the season. Kelvin's big time touched on it, even mentioned it specific after some post-game pressers. But, Chris, to your point, maybe he didn't have this best week of practice. Again, the speculation, we don't necessarily know. There's definitely some level of trust that's not there yet when it comes to just playing 6 minutes in this game. And Dan, I agree 100% in terms of Damian Dunn is a player that can help, and especially in those shots, you could count on him, rely on him to be able to hit it more often than not. But as of now, February 3rd, which we still have about 5 weeks until the start of the Big 12 tournament, 6 weeks until the start of the NCAA tournament. So there's still plenty of time for Damian Dunn to be able to figure it out. And for both sides, for Kelvin Sampson, have trust in Damian Dunn. But maybe that could be something mental too, where, I mean, Damian Dunn for his entire collegiate career, maybe he hasn't been used to the level of expectation. And it is, like I said, a double-edged sword, because if you don't play up to the standard, Kelvin Sampson's not going to play you. And sometimes not every player adjusts to it in the exact same way. And some players take a lot longer than others to get comfortable in that type of environment. And I mean, not saying that this is done, but I'd imagine there's some players that they just can't adjust to it.
And the thing
Like you
is,
said, I think before you go, Chris, I want to add on to it. I think maybe that could be a factor, but also I think this is the first time in his college career when he's having to battle playing inconsistent minutes and not be allowed to be kind of catch his rhythm and know on any given, like on a game to game basis, he has a role and he can impact the game. I think that's something that also that could play that could be affecting him, along with the things that you mentioned. I think that's true as well. But I think that's another way to look at it, and I think that's impacted him also.
I think all of us are touching on it, because the thing is, Coach Sampson may not trust Damian completely, but at the same time, Damian provides a skill set that other players on the team do not have.
Mm-hmm.
And at times, I think, and I agree with Dayon, at times, I do, Coach will say to us, if you heard us watching the show right now, guys, I know coaching, that's about more than y'all do. So it's our opinion. I do think he should play Damian more. I do believe he should trust Damian more to let Damian get fouls, get to the free throw line, get some easy points for Houston. But Coach Sampson has not a lot this season. I hope that the rest of the season he does trust Damian more and allow Damian to get more minutes and more opportunity to get easy opportunities for points. We'll see. But one shot attempt, and that was it pretty much. That's hard on a player to produce. Yep. You're only getting 6 minutes in a game.
Yep.
No, I don't know. No, that wouldn't. No, he doesn't have a mindset of starting when he chose to come here. No, I trust me on that one. I pretty. Just trust me on that one. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about that, but I think, remember, he got inserted into the starting lineup early, so I think maybe now a mindset to start, but the mindset of at least being able to hit will. I don't want to say guaranteed, but kind of told that I don't even want to say told, because
Just
I think Coach Sampson
minutes.
is the type to be like, you got to earn everything here. I believe that. And so, but I do think maybe somewhere that he thought that he would be able to get consistent minutes and be able to at least hoop. He ain't really being allowed to hoop.
Agree. And that's the best way to put it. I think he thought he'd get consistent minutes, and he has not gotten that. Just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Let's wrap it up, man. We're good. We're almost there.
Yeah. We've already touched on it. Next game, Oklahoma State. Then they play at Cincinnati a week from today, Saturday. And then they get a little bit of break. No in-week game, Valentine's week. So Houston gets they're kind of on the horizon, a little break from the Big 12 schedule upcoming. Chris, you're very confident that Houston's going to be able to not only bounce back from this game, their defense is going to recover when it comes to, like we said, in the graphic that the ESPN broadcast showed, where they've allowed the last two opponents to score 70 points or more after not doing that at all in the first 19 games of the season. But when it comes to Oklahoma State, really focusing much more on Houston, what's the big thing that you're going to be looking forward to when it comes to that date against the Cowboys?
Well, they won at home today, beat Kansas State, surprising, I'm sure, Wildcat fans. Oklahoma State is so young. They're the youngest team in the conference. I want to say Coach Boynton's team has 6 freshmen on his squad this year, which is rare in college basketball today. To have so many freshmen and not go into the portal and get you some veterans and guys like that. So they may be getting better, playing better, but the style of play that they have, the inexperience they have, I think today's game aside,
Houston at home, defense is going to cause Oak State problems. They got a freshman point guard. That right there should be a problem for him against Houston's defense. The Cougs will be locked in. It's up to Houston to get the job done. I'm saying it very easily because I'm not playing, but they got to go ahead and get the job done. But yes, Oklahoma State will not score more than 70 points on Tuesday. They might struggle to get 60, but they will not score more than 70 on Tuesday.
I'm looking for Houston half-court offense. I just want to, even when you get down to the Big 12 tournament, the NCAA tournament, the game slows down. Referees allow you to play more through contact. And it's often about who can beat their man, who can win their matchup. And so I'm looking on the half court. How can Houston continue to produce offense? Who's stepping up? I mean, is it who is it? And I'm looking for the role player. Is it Damian Dunn going to get those minutes? Can Ramon add a little bit more? I think he can. I think he can stretch the floor. He can defend his position and be able to not be a liability. And so I'm looking for the offense. I'm watching the offense. The defense is going to be there. I agree with everything Chris is saying. I have low expectations as well. But offense is the name of the game. Putting the ball in the bucket is the name of the game. And Houston needs scores. I mean, LJ stepped up late in that second half, but we need more consistent aggression offensively from LJ Choir, in my opinion.
Real quick, no word on Javier Francis regarding the lower back, so no status update just yet.
That's definitely going to be something to keep an eye on. I want to bring up Rex 32's comment one more time because it honestly goes along as we're here again live on location from Star Pizza. He says Big 12 has been fun so far. Night and day difference from a season ago, where obviously in January we had that upset where Temple came into the Fertitta Center, beat Houston, and then when they played again in Philadelphia, it was like, oh, whoa. Turned out to be a Houston blowout. Obviously, Memphis was always a game that was like this, but 6-3 so far in Big 12 play. Every road game has been a street fight, not to steal that quote from Kellen Sampson, but it literally has been like that. There have been no easy road games so far in the Big 12. And as we look at the screen here inside of Star Pizza, Duke, North Carolina playing. North Carolina leads that game. But for Houston to be a part of that slate, the big-time main event slate that was college basketball today, you said you're not used to it yet. It's really, obviously the result wasn't what Houston fans wanted, but it's nice to be able to get a chance to reflect that Houston and Kansas was part of the main event lead-in to North Carolina Duke, and this is not going anywhere. This is going to be for years to come. Even in the broadcast, they promoted Houston, Kansas, the Mexico City game that they're going to have in December later on this year. But this is a big time for Houston basketball in the Big 12, and that's not going anywhere. It's here to stay. That's going to be that's life for Houston now. And that's the perfect way to phrase it as we look at North Carolina and Duke on the big screen here at Star Pizza.
And as an old UH alum, I want Andy to understand and realize it. How, to me, it's a big deal that yes, ESPN did not promote it as much as the Duke Carolina matchup, but the triple header, Houston Cougars men's basketball was part of ESPN's triple header today, leading into Duke Carolina, then followed by Tennessee, Kentucky. The younger alums or the students at UH right now, enjoy this because trust me, this was some dark times in basketball for a lot of years. So to see Houston men's basketball on the national landscape, it's just another testament to the job Coach Kelvin Sampson and his staff have done in these 10 years.
Agreed. I was able to see a few games in Hofheinz before it was renovated, and scary hours. And so I like the new expectation. I like the where Houston basketball is. But like Chris is saying, don't take it for granted. Appreciate it, support it, continue to build on it. And can Houston build a tradition at home to be able to have a home court advantage in the Fertitta Center like they've been doing since it's been open? I think so. And so I love the fans. Keep coming out, keep supporting. And I think the basketball program will continue to be relevant for a long time.
Well, with that being said, that's pretty much going to wrap things up. This is the second ever live show for Let's Rage Coogs. The first since so far, not a good record at live shows. 0-2. The first since 2022 after the Elite Eight game when obviously Houston lost to Villanova in a game that Houston struggled offensively much more in that one than this one, where they only put up 45 points against the Wildcats in the Elite Eight matchup. But we, of course, can't say thank you enough again to Mike and Jennifer Pittman for really setting this all up, giving us this corner here at Star Pizza, which, again, we mentioned at the beginning. Thank you guys for each and every single one of you guys that took time out of your Saturday evenings to be able to be a part of this episode of Let's Rage Coogs and helping us out when it came with audio technology issues at the beginning of the show. If you guys hadn't helped us out, we wouldn't have been able to fix it. So hopefully you guys were able to enjoy this show, and hopefully this is the beginning of a handful of more live shows up throughout this season and beyond, because of course Let's Rage Coogs, the original post-game show for Houston Cougars men's and football shows after each and every single show. And of course, I just got to throw it out there again, the only post-game show to ever be retweeted by Kelvin Sampson. But of course, we also like to say thank you to Steve Saxenian and the Saxenian family for being the primary sponsor of not only this episode of Let's Rage Coogs, but each and every single other episode of Let's Rage Coogs this men's basketball regular season. Final score from Loris, Kansas, the first time the Houston plays at Allen Fieldhouse. Now Kelvin Sampson still chasing that elusive win at Allen Fieldhouse, but the 8th-ranked Kansas Jayhawks take it 78-65. Google Lump says you got it fixed, so props to you guys and to Star Pizza. So now thank you guys. You guys helped us out fixing it in real time. Chris, I'll hand it over to you. Any final things you want to say, and then Dayon, you get the final word.
Salute to our fans for your assistance and your patience for helping us with that and waiting for us to iron out the kinks with audio issues, learning with this going forward. But like I always say, onward and upward. Salute to Kansas for their 70% shooting. I doubt they do that again this season. The Cougs learned some things today in this 78-65 loss. We'll see you guys this coming Tuesday after the Houston-Oklahoma State game. 6 o'clock start. So Let's Rage Cougs will be around 8:30, 8:45, assuming no overtime. But join us for that. Follow me at Houston Roundbar Review on YouTube, Threads, TikTok, Instagram, and Spoutable. As always, I like saying it, the Houston Roundbar Review since 1994. Local name, global perspective.
And of course, you can find me on all social media platforms at Dayon Dunlap. It was great supporting the Hughes on the road in the legendary Allen Fieldhouse. I appreciate the hospitality from the Kansas fans. I look forward to continuing to cover this team and being alongside you guys after each game throughout the rest of this season. And I think I will be able to make that Longhorns game in Houston in a couple weeks. So look forward to seeing you guys then. And maybe we can do the show. I'm side by side. We'll figure that out and talk offline. But it's always great for the support, be alongside you guys. Appreciate everyone who joined us. As always, baby, go Cougs.